The Steam Autumn Sale is upon us once again. Every year we have a bunch of Steam sales, but the biggest Steam sales, of course, are the seasonal sales. And now it's time to learn how to maximize your savings. A dollar saved is a dollar earned. Welcome back to the Steam Deck Masterclass, Volume 12.5. The Autumn Sale is an interesting sale because it happens during Black Friday, but the truth is that this sale is kind of a smaller sale because the Winter Sale is literally around the corner. But this isn't a bad thing. This is actually quite the good thing because a game you may want right now is not on sale right now, but it may be on sale later on, and the opposite is also true as well. What matters in the end is being diligent and knowing what games you want to play and what you want to buy. So once you figure out what games you want to buy and what games you want to sell, it's time to talk about how to find deals. But before that, if you like this video or any other video I've made on this channel, please like, subscribe, and share with all of your friends. Spreading the gospel of high-tech lowlife really helps me in the YouTube algorithm, and it lets the algorithm know that you want more. And while you're at it, why don't you check out my brand new podcast, Off the Console. It's a podcast started by Gardner Bryant, Games Revealed and I. Yes, we have a YouTube channel with full podcast episodes and clips, but we're also on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Be sure to check it out and like and subscribe if you like our podcast. And one more thing, I've been invited by Noah from Steam Deck HQ to be a guest announcer for the Steam Deck Game Awards, the first ever, hosted by, of course, Steam Deck HQ. It's a Steam Deck specific game award show, unlike any other. You can find more information linked down below. It's time to learn the tricks of the trade. As a penny-pinching deal hunter, your most powerful tool is the wishlist. A wishlist is your list of games that you keep for future reference. You can wishlist upcoming games that aren't out yet, and you can also wishlist games that are already out. And with your Steam wishlist, Steam will notify you of a number of different things. First and foremost, it'll notify you when an upcoming game is actually released, whether it's an early access or fully released. Steam will also let you know when a game gets discounted. If you regularly check your email or your Steam app on your phone, then you probably won't be missing any sales anytime soon. Depending on your profile settings, your wishlist is also made public. You can also share your wishlist with your rich friends so that they hopefully buy you some games. And do you ever wonder why every developer asks you to wishlist their game on Steam? Well, it's because it helps them in the Steam algorithm. So if you want to support your local small dev, wishlist their game. It'll really help them out in the long run. Even if you don't buy the game at launch, it'll still help them immensely. It's a very useful tool in case you want to stay confined with the Steam ecosystem and you're okay with buying games just on Steam. But some of the best deals can be found off of Steam, on websites like Fanatical and Humble Bundle, and the Steam wishlist doesn't really cover sales on those websites, and sometimes sales on those websites may be running separately from, well, Steam itself. That's why I like to use external websites for my wishlist, websites like isthereanydeal.com. We'll talk more about those later though. Your next tool of trade, of course, is the refund. Now, let's say you buy a game and, I don't know, maybe you don't like it. If you meet the following requirements, you can get a full refund on a specific game of choice. You must request a refund within 14 days of purchase. You must play said game for less than 2 hours. It is important to recognize that if you abuse the refund policy, you may lose your ability to get refunds. Also, in certain extreme cases, you can get refunds for games, no questions asked, no matter how long you've had it for, and more importantly, how long you've played it for. For example, Concord was one such a case. Valve literally initiated the refund policy for all Concord buyers, meaning that Valve automatically refunded everyone that bought Concord even if you didn't ask. What constitutes abusing the refund policy? Well, a good rule of thumb is if you refund more games than you actually keep, then you're definitely abusing the policy. Remember that on Steam, refunding is a privilege, and yes, it's a very generous policy as long as you use it when you actually need to refund a game that you may not like. And finally, this doesn't apply to any Steam keys you may buy outside of Steam, like for example, yes, Fanatical or Humble Bundle. Each website has their own unique refund policy, so I would check those out before you commit to buying anything. Now in terms of Steam games, let's talk about every place you can buy Steam keys from. Now to be honest, you're not buying Steam keys from Steam, but rather licenses to games from Steam. Of all the stores available, Steam is the most convenient store to use because you just buy a game and then it shows up in your Steam library, right? It also comes with a number of different benefits too. Like if you're into the whole trading card thing during the Steam sales, then you get a bunch of trading cards too. You can trade them for additional cash later down the line, or you can turn them in and level up your profile if so desired. You do get a bunch of Steam points for buying games on Steam directly. Steam points are primarily used to buy customization. You can buy avatars that are animated, or you can buy borders, profile backgrounds, and all of that good stuff. But the primary reason why you'd want to buy from Steam directly is the Steam Refund. The Steam Refund is the best refund policy out of all of these websites I'm about to talk about today. Not only do you get to buy the game, but you also get to try the game out for a little bit. And yes, some games are only available on Steam. They're not available anywhere else. Some games you may not find on websites like Humble Bundle or Fanatical, especially if they're more obscure. And of course, the store is built into the Steam Deck's operating system entirely, meaning you can easily access it. And yes, sometimes Steam has the literal lowest price for a game. It's just a matter of cross-referencing websites after all. The next two websites I tend to go to more so for the bundles than the actual games themselves, but you can buy games from here directly as well. It's both Fanatical and Humble Bundle. Both are very similar in purpose. You buy games to then add to your Steam account. You do this via Steam keys. In addition to selling individual games, they also sell various bundles as well. Humble Bundle tends to feature more bespoke bundles, themed bundles, like for example, they're running a sci-fi shooter bundle right now. Fanatical, however, tends to have more generic bundles, you know, build your own Supreme collection, build your own Bento collection, stuff like that. And sometimes Humble Bundle and Fanatical run bundles that are specifically made for Steam Deck, like bundles that feature all Steam Deck playable or all Steam Deck verified games. Sometimes it happens. The main problem with bundles is that yes, I'm just not interested in every single game in a bundle. Like sometimes I'll be interested in like 5 of the games, but one game is not my cup of tea. Or sometimes I might already own a game that's in a bundle and I just have an extra key for no reason. You can do a number of things with the keys. You can sell the keys somewhere, or you can trade them for a different key, stuff like that. I've definitely traded Steam keys for more valuable games. Like one time in college, I traded a really crappy Steam game for Enter the Gungeon, and man, that was a good Steam key trade. But yes, if you're interested in bundles, then definitely check out Humble Bundle and Fanatical. I have links to the latest bundles available, as of the making of this video that is. There are a bunch of other websites, but we're gonna be here all day if we check out every other website, so instead we're gonna talk about a different website altogether. IsThereAnyDeal.com. IsThereAnyDeal.com recently got a massive website overhaul. Now it looks a lot nicer. Is There Any Deal is a sales aggregator. Its main purpose is to compare prices between many different storefronts, all in one easy-to-use website. Let's say you want to check out Game of the Year nominee Balatro. You can see here that Balatro is sold on many different websites, including Steam, yes, but it's cheaper on many different other websites. Like for example, as of the making of this video, GameBillet has the current cheapest price for Balatro at $10.39. In addition to telling you the current best price, it also tells you the historical lowest price. Apparently at one point it was available on Voodoo for $4.99 this year. To be honest, Balatro is worth it at full price, but if you can find it at $4.99 at all, buy it immediately. Not only does it tell you prices for individual games on individual websites, it also tells you what bundles it's a part of. Balatro is a part of multiple different bundles on Steam, but no bundles outside of Steam. So let's look at a different game. Doom. If you scroll down on Doom's page, it tells you what bundles it's a part of, and any bundles it used to be a part of, in case you might have bought them and I guess forgot or whatever. It's a part of Humble Bundle's Sci-Fi Shooters bundle that I mentioned earlier, and it's also part of Build Your Own Frightmare bundle. You can compare individual prices and bundle prices to see if it's really worth it in the end, and in the case of the Sci-Fi Shooters bundle, yes, there are good deals on games like Doom, but if you buy them in a bundle, it's a much better deal if you're interested in all of these games, that is. That said, there is one feature I never really went over, and this is the waitlist. It lets you import your wishlist directly from Steam, GOG, Humble, or Fanatical. So there are two primary functions you need to worry about. Categories is for organizational purposes. It lets you organize different games into different categories depending on, well, any criteria you want really. Like for example here, I have a category just for AAA titles that I'm interested in, and I just made it just now. But the real secret sauce are the rules. When you use rules, it essentially determines when Is There Any Deal notifies you of a new game sale. For example, let's say I don't want to be notified of any game sales unless the game is at least 50% off. You can make it happen. Or maybe I don't want to be notified of a game sale unless the game is literally $5 and under. You can make that happen too. Or maybe like a combination of the two. There are many more rules to explore, so you do that on your own time. So let's take Persona 3 for example. I can define it via a rule and put it in a category. I put it in my AAA games category and I defined it with a deep discount rule, meaning I'm not going to buy it until it's at least half off. I also made a special rule for notifying me when games are on sale for 90% off or higher. It's not likely to happen, and honestly I'm probably going to forget, but that's what the notifications are for. But in addition to Is There Any Deal, the team behind that website is also responsible for Augmented Steam. Augmented Steam is a browser extension made to enhance your Steam experience. It integrates brand new features into the Steam website while browsing it with your browser of choice. It officially supports Microsoft Edge, Google Chrome, and Firefox, though if you have some other Chromium-based browser, you could probably get it working on there too. It comes with a number of useful features like telling you what games you already own or what games are already in your wish list. But the best feature by far is There Any Deal integration. Basically, you get data directly from Is There Any Deal on the Steam page of a game. Like, let's look at this game here, Uncharted. On Steam, it's 60% off at $19.99. But if you go to Indie Gala, you can buy it for a little cheaper, about $2 cheaper. Whether or not it's worth going to Indie Gala as opposed to just staying on Steam is entirely up to you. But you can save $2 and buy a game that goes on sale for extremely cheap, or I don't know, just pocket it or whatever. This right here makes Augmented Steam a must-have. If you don't have this and you're using Steam, then what are you doing? And no sale video is complete without talking about the gray market, a place where you can buy and sell Steam keys to other people. In theory, these are great places to get deals because these are people cutting their losses by selling keys that they don't want anymore. Like, you know that bundle that you just bought that has like 5 games you want and 1 game you don't? You can sell that 1 game. In theory, this sounds great, but in practice, using these sorts of gray market key sellers can be risky. The big issue is that sometimes when you buy from these websites, you don't really know what you're getting. You might get a legitimate key that works and activates and there's no real issue with it. But sometimes you might get keys that are bought with stolen credit cards from other people. Like, they're buying these copies with stolen credit cards and then selling them for extremely cheap, making a profit. All while the original credit card holder cancels their credit cards and does a chargeback. And in turn, those keys can get deactivated. And this isn't just some mythical hearsay, this is something that's actually happened to multiple different people. And of course, credit card chargebacks cost developers, especially indie devs, so much so to the point where they would rather you pirate a game than to use a gray market key seller. And that's a crazy thing to say. I'm not going to judge you for using these websites. I mean, Lord knows, I've used these websites when I was in college, a poor college kid. I'm not going to judge you or anything, this is just a cautionary tale. If you manage to get a good deal on those websites and you manage to get a Steam key that doesn't get revoked in like a year or two, then hey, that's pretty good. But just be wary. Is There Any Deal does not catalog these gray market key sellers, but a very similar website, gg.deals, does. It tracks all legitimate key sellers and gray market key sellers as well. But you can also disable gray market key sellers on that website too, if so desired, meaning you never have to see values from those websites. Now, this is the part of the video where I make some recommendations for what games you should buy. I have a list of games that I think everyone should own, about 10 of them. For anyone buying a brand new Steam Deck for the first time or perhaps getting into PC gaming in general, this is my PC gaming starter pack. Terraria, Celeste, Hollow Knight, Risk of Rain 2, the Valve Complete Pack, Stardew Valley, Vampire Survivors, Crosscode, Faster Than Light, and the Master Chief Collection. These are all games that I know run really well on the Steam Deck. And yes, a good portion of these games can actually be played on just about any potato computer if so desired. These are some of the most commonly recommended games to buy, and for good reason. But now let's talk about some personal recommendations that may not jive with everyone, but for those that truly understand me, you'll know why I picked them. The first recommendation is One Way Heroics. It's one of the cheapest games on my list today. In fact, it's even cheaper than Vampire Survivors, which had a reputation for being one of the cheapest games you can buy that's really good. It's a traditional roguelike with a twist. The stage scrolls to the right every turn, and as such, you're constantly going to the right. It's a race to see how far you can get and how fast you can kill the Demon Lord. But there's far more to it than that, with a bunch of secrets that can only be explored by playing the game through multiple playthroughs. The game has gone on sale for close to $1, and sometimes it goes on sale for even cheaper than that. But even at full price, this is a great value. There's also a DLC called One Way REDUX Plus, which, funnily enough, is actually more expensive than the base game. But it too goes on sale frequently as well, going as low as $2, which means both the game and the DLC itself goes for like $3. Definitely well worth it. But if you're looking for something newer, then might I point you to Rabbids in Steel? Rabbids in Steel is a co-op action roguelite inspired by Final Fantasy XIV? That's right. While the game can be played single player, it's best played with 4 players. The gameplay itself is decidedly real time, but the styling of the game itself as well as the boss mechanics are MMO inspired, and it gets even more MMO inspired when you start playing with other people as well. It came out about a half a year ago at this point, so I wouldn't expect a deep discount, but I would expect a deeper discount than before. Another game I recommend is Enter the Gungeon. It's a top-down twin-stick shooter roguelike, and it's really good. Guns, 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 as Donkey said, everything is guns. But the moment-to-moment gameplay is just that good, and it's in the little details as well. When you go through a firefight in a room, it makes it look like a John Woo fight. There's a lot of unlockables and a lot of weapons to experiment with, and a lot of synergies as well. The game is very much a bullet hell game, but if you're the type of person that likes bullet hell, then this game is for you. I will say the game no longer gets updates, so the game is the game as it is, forever. The next game I'm talking about is a new addition to this list, Balatro. Special Game of the Year candidate for one thing, the gameplay. It's like crack. Once you start, you'll never stop. It's a roguelike deck builder inspired by poker. Your goal is to beat the score threshold. In addition to just having higher value poker hands, you have the addition of planet cards, which increase the value of those poker hands. You have jokers, which has special abilities. You can even modify your deck by adding, removing, or even changing the existing cards. Once you play it, you'll know why this was nominated as Game of the Year, and it's my personal vote. Balatro may not go on a deep discount given that it came out this year, but I still recommend picking it up. It's probably gonna go on discount for like 25% off. That's definitely worth it. It's worth it at full price. And of course, I love myself some Metroidvanias, so honestly, you could get either Tevi or Rabi-Ribi, both of which are excellent Metroidvanias, and there's plenty of meat to chew if you're the type of person that likes to speedrun Metroidvanias. That said, in addition to the game being bullet hell, these games can veer into the more difficult side of things. Oddly enough, Rabi-Ribi isn't actually on sale, but the next game, Tevi, actually is. And it's currently the lowest it's ever been, though by 35%. The next game I would look out for is Cyberpunk 2077. Yes, I remember, this game launched with terrible reviews and was lambasted throughout the entire industry. But I think the game fixed itself, and now it's worthy of being bought. The Steam version can go up to 50% off, though sometimes the GOG version can go even cheaper. But if you're trying to play on a Steam Deck, then I recommend getting the Steam version of the game. Cyberpunk's expansion, Phantom Liberty, is also almost a year old at this point, so expect a deeper discount this time around. Baldur's Gate 3 is a game that I still really have to play all the way through. It was Game of the Year last year, and yes, it deserved the win. I will admit, we didn't really get a great discount on Baldur's Gate 3, but this time around, maybe we'll get a deeper discount. Hopefully more than 20%. World of Horror is an investigative roguelike inspired by board games and the works of Junji Ito, legendary horror mangaka. Your job is to investigate 5 cases that are randomly assigned to you, and along the way there are many random instances and random events that happen, and some of which require a skill check. On paper, the art style is quite simplistic. It's a 2-bit game that only uses like 2 colors at most, for the most part. But this makes the game stand out even more, and honestly, it's one of my favorites. World of Horror has been in early access for quite some time now, but the 1.0 release came out last year, so expect a deeper discount this time around. Party Animals is a game I adore. It is a live service game, so to speak, but it's one of those games that you can always go back to playing, no matter how long it's been since you've last played. Party Animals is, as the name implies, a party game. It's a physics-based party game with multiple different modes. But the most fun you can have with this game is making all of your friends lose their minds. At $20, Party Animals is pretty cheap. What's cool is that Party Animals has this new system called the Friend Pass, where if one of your friends owns Party Animals and you're partied up with them, you can play with them for free. Yes, even in matchmaking. The perfect game for you little griefers and trolls. And the last game I want to check out and look out for is Animal Well. Admittedly, this isn't a game I've played, but I've heard so many good things about this game. Metroidvanias, however, are firm up my alley, and this one looks to be the most unique of them all. Admittedly, I was a little busy with some other stuff, so I didn't have a chance to play Animal Well when it was still hot, but guess what? Now I have a chance, and it's even cheaper. It's not a super deep discount, but given that this game came out about a half a year ago, 20% still 20%. That's still money you can save. And of course, this is the perfect time to mention that the Steam Deck is on sale. No, it's not the Steam Deck OLED, it's the Steam Deck LCD. Both the original 64GB model and the 512GB models are available and on sale. Literally, the 64GB model is under $300, which means that it's a far better value than any other PC handheld or even those Android handhelds. Now, if it were up to me, I would buy a Steam Deck OLED, but if you're someone that's strapped for cash and want to get yourself one of these gaming handhelds, this is a great entry point. It's PC gaming goodness in the palm of your hands, and it's cheaper than it's ever been. And yes, while the Steam Deck is still one of the cheapest PC handhelds out there at base price, the 64GB model being under $300 takes it to a whole new level. I would use those savings to buy yourself a new SSD to swap out, because 64GB is admittedly not enough. You need more storage. The 512GB model is still a pretty decent deal, but it would be a lot cheaper if you just bought the 64GB model and replaced the SSD yourself. Just in time for Black Friday as well. You know, I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. Black Friday deals can be pretty good for electronics if you know where to look. My recommendation is to get a micro SD card if you don't already have one, and if you want to upgrade your SSD, get one of those too, and some good quality IEMs. So that covers a lot of my game recommendations. I know there are more game recommendations I could have recommended, but to be honest, there's a lot of games I like that a lot of people don't like, so that's going to be a little more difficult. And this time around, in addition to the Steam sale, the Steam Awards are happening right now. Not to be confused with the Game Awards or any other awards. These are awards hosted by Valve and is almost entirely community driven. A lot of people complain that the Game Awards is 90% journalist and 10% community voted, but the Steam Awards is 100% community driven and it's a mess. Like seriously, Red Dead Redemption 2 won Labor of Love, despite the fact that that game stopped getting updates, and also they canceled all future updates, and they've left the game to languish with cheaters and all that stuff. And guess what? The community voted for that. So can you really trust the community when it comes to these sorts of game awards? Probably not. And trading cards in case you want to level up your profile, or you could use those Steam points to level up your profile directly. If you like this video, please press the like button and check out our other videos. And if you like those other videos as well, be sure to press the subscribe button and share the good gospel of high-tech lowlife with your friends. Furthermore, we have a community Discord for enlightened individuals such as you. And if you wish to further support high-tech lowlife, be sure to check out our Patreon page. Links in the description.